Hey people, we're looking at a multifamily unit today, seeing if it pencils out. This one's located by the Coeur d'Alene Public Golf Course. It's been on market for almost over a year. Um, so usually rental properties go pretty fast in our market. So let's see what's going on here and maybe where there is a disconnect. So let's take a look at the number. So this is the house itself. It's a duplex. It has its own parking and attached garage. Let's look at the interior. You have carpet. There's been some updates, it looks like, to the flooring, original tile, original cabinets, laminate countertops. So right now, this is the downstairs that looks like it has the third bedroom. The backyard. You don't have neighbors, but that's the freeway right there. That's I-90. So it was built in 1975. It's definitely going to need updates. Let's talk replacement costs just on this. We're looking at replacement costs at about $200 square foot right now. So you're at around 480,000, I think, to maybe 500,000 just to replace this replacement cost. So that's good to know. It's a 3-bed, so each side is 3-bed, 2 baths, and the rents on each side is $2,100, and one is already in a current lease. The other one's month to month. So your gross monthly rent is $4,300. And what they're asking for is $649,900, but that only is for seller financing. Conventional financing, they want, or cash, they want $699,000. So let's go over to our table. Let's punch in the numbers. So I'm going to show you how to use our spreadsheet here. The seller is asking right now for $699,000. Let's enter in our rents. They said on theirs that their current rent is average. They have one renting for $2,120 and one for $2,195. So let's just put $2,150 for both. I think on a 1,900 square feet unit close to Coeur d'Alene, market rent's probably $2,200. So they're not far off. Now we're going to go back to our sheet and just go down the list. So it's 2 units, price per unit. Let's say we got it with a down payment of $25,000. We're buying it at the conventional price. Our interest rate is around 6.5 for an investment loan right now, term of 25 years. Closing costs would be around $10,000. Rental income, $4,300. Let's say our vacancy is going to be 7%. So then we have a net income of $3,900. So we go to property management. Let's say we're planning on using a property manager. This is pretty standard for our area. Taxes are $220 a month. Insurance, gas, trash. Some of you may have your own numbers. This is just what I'm going off of. Your total expenses are going to be $1,122. Your net operating income, $2,700. And then your profit after debt service monthly and annually. So what we care about also looking at is these cap rates. So for those of you who don't know, cap rate is your net operating income divided by your overall value of the house. I think I have that right. When it comes to getting that percentage, it may be flip-flopped. But we want the cap rate to be greater than the interest rate most of the time that we're buying the house at. So if our interest rate is 6.5% and our cap rate is 4.8%, what it means is that it's 4.8% of the value of the house to make a certain amount of money whereas we're borrowing 6.5% against our loan. So we're under our loan by 2.7% or 1.7%. So that doesn't really calculate. So how we use this is if it's 4.8% right here, let's say it's at a higher cap rate. Let's go to 7%. So let's say we try and get this property at 478. Every investment property works at the right number. Let's go 25% down, 6.5. And then we're going to use standard rates. This is just an estimation, goes through a little higher. And so if we were to get it for 478, our cap rate is at 5.8% with these different expenses put in here. The seller's probably not going to go for that. So they have it listed for 649 right now, conventional financing. It's been listed for almost a year. Let's say you went in at 575. And then this is going to be our final estimate. 25% down, 6.5 interest rate, 25 years. Let's say you're going to manage it yourself. Oh, forgot to put in the rent. Let's say when we get it, let's estimate that we're going to get the 4,400. We're going to find a way to manage it better, get a better tenant in there. And now we're at a 6.3% cap rate. If we get it for 575, 4,400 gross rent at this amount. Now we can go over to our strategy, because it's really important to look at our exit strategy. And let's choose the model that we're going to use as final. And let's say after the first year, we're going to spend $25,000 on each unit to fix them up, make them a little better. And after that, our rent, let's say our rent can go up to $2,400 after remodeling it. So now we go to our reserves. We have $50,000 in reserves for repairs. And let's say our exit strategy, let's choose exit strategy 1 right now that we're going to sell. So let's sell after 7 years. Let's say the cap rate is a little less. So our sale price at exit seems a little high. Let's say 6% after 7 years. Let's say we were able to sell it for, bought it for 575. After 7 years, we're able to sell it for 700. The cost to sell, this is your real estate commissions, your closing costs, equity paid out at close. So this is your complete cash on cash return, average of 3.8% per year. Your total is 26%. Your ROI is 66%, average of 9.4% per year. Internal rate of return, 15%. That's pretty good. We want it to be above 10. Now we go to our net profit. So we spent cash needed to close in total of the project, $203,000, and we ended up profiting $134,000. So we made $134,000 off of our $203,000. Let's say our goal was to refinance, let's say after 5 years. So let's say after 5 years, the property is probably not going to be as much, $700,000. Let's say it's $650,000. Need another zero. So it's $650,000. You can usually only get a loan to value ratio of 80%. Your cost to refinance is going to be a lot less than selling, it's around 2%. Mortgage amount, let's say we get a 4% interest rate, 25-year, and this is what we would receive equity out at close, $119,000, and we're already $203,000 into it. So this would be our cash flow distributions over the 5 years equity. So we're actually under by 51,000. So refinancing after 5 years probably wouldn't be the best way to go, depending on your goals. Let's say it's after 7. Now it's a little less. Let's say you try to refinance after 10. And then let's say this was worth 725,000. And then there you go. You get a little better number out of it. So that's what we do with all investment properties that we're looking at. This one looks to have a pretty decent return if you can get that $4,400 a month gross rent, and you have a 6.3% cap rate, which is not bad in our market. And this is what your rent roll would look like after you do your improvements here. It's a little hard to see on this compressed screen, but you put in where your renovations. 50,000 your first year, and then your rents went up to this amount after those renovations. And then it just continues on and shows you your profit after debt service and everything. One thing I want to look at is what happens if you were to do this from a house hacking standpoint. So let's say you tried to get this at $575, but you're going to owner occupy one of the units, which is something that a lot of people are doing, especially if they're first-time home buyers. So what you can do is you can purchase one side of the duplex. You have to put 3.5% down as a minimum. It's considered an FHA loan. Your limit for lending on a duplex in Coeur d'Alene area, I think, is like $723,000. So you can buy up to a $723,000 home or get lent that. And then you own or occupy one side and take care of the other. So let's do that. Let's see what we're at. I think the interest rate on that was 6.1% for an FHA owner occupied loan. So how we do it here is if the current market rent is $2,100, we're going to say after, because you're going to occupy, we're going to just split it in half. So let's say it's $1,050. I'll show you how this works a little later. So if it's $1,050, $2,100 for one side, that's the rent you're receiving. Obviously, your cap rate's not going to be good because you're renting out the other side. But now what we're going to do, and we're going to say that you're managing this yourself. These are your expensive. You're not going to be charging payroll or general and administrative, because as the first-time home buyer, you're probably taking care of the other side. This would be your mortgage amount. So your monthly payment would be $3,609. You're collecting after expenses $941. So this is what we would want to be using to show, hey, after 1 year, you might not spend anything, but you might move. So after you move, your rent might go up because you moved out, and you're going to be able to rent both sides for the $4,400 because you didn't update it. You didn't have enough capital to update. But after year 1, you're going to be able to get that $4,400. You no longer need anything in reserves. And your goal is to sell it after 7 years. Cost to sell is $6,000. Let's go down to 700,000. And this will be after 7. Make sure that this is right. Your first year rent is going to be $2,100. Oh, shoot. We really got it. We were saying we were going to get $4,400 on each side of the unit. We would be killing it. Okay, here we go. So your cash flow is going to be negative for a while because of that first year. So that first year, your cash flow, you're negative at $32,000 because that's going to be your monthly payment that you're paying. And because of the amount of your debt, you're going to be under that amount. But we're going to get to, this is going to be your net profit. So you needed $30,000 to close this. You paid yourself rent. So you lived in one side and you paid yourself on your debt. Your monthly payment was $3,600. You were collecting $1,900 from your tenant on the other side, and your expenses were $970. So really your net operating income from this property is $941. So you can take that, and you bought a duplex and you have a tenant for $2,400. And then your strategy is to live in it for 1 year and then move out. It could be a couple years. Move out and find another place, and then bring a tenant into the owner occupied section that you were in. And then you sold after 7 years and you made $97,000. Your internal rate of return was 12%. And an average, your cash on cash isn't going to be good in that scenario, but because of the amount of debt you're leveraging. But it could be a really good option. And that's a great way for homeowners to and first-time home buyers to get into homes because of the low amount down that you need in order to do an owner-occupied multifamily. So if you're interested and you want to learn more about that, feel free to reach out. We can go through specific properties. And if you know somebody who's struggling to get into the market right now, this may be a good option. It's about finding the deals out there for them in order to get them the ability to be a homeowner and maybe have a long-term investment play in there as well. As always, feel free to check out our newsletter. It has great information, more about what we do and how we do it. And I look forward to the next video.